direction from the security point of view. I have very limited slides. I hate slides, so I try to keep it little fun here in the slides as well. I want more interactive, so if you have any point, any questions, feel free, right, to jump in any point, right, any slides, any discussions. I'll give you a little background here so that you are aligned with what I'm going to present. So here I'm going to present in terms of a thinking, in terms of why we should have a security implemented at the design phase, right? So I'm not going to suggest you any particular tool right now, right? So because it's like very subjective, right? Which one that you are going to use, but I'm open to have a discussion. Right? If you have any questions, feel free. Obviously, like I would request you to give a feedback as well in terms of how the presentation was, so that I can also improve for the future presentations as well. So that's very critical. Yeah, so my background is, as you say, like I was a hardcore developer as my earlier career. Then jumped into the cloud architect as a role. Played little bit of multiple different roles, and right now I'm a cloud security architect, handling only security, cyber security for different forms. So there is a good concept. Now there is a market which is shift left, right? So before I jump into the shift left directly, right, I just want to make sure that we all of us are on the same page, right? That's same page, same definitions. So this is what I created as slides. Let's clear some basics, right? Otherwise the definition is different. I'm using some other terminology, you understand something else, right? So let's clear this. Very few basics, right? So what do we do? Clean out everything. And let's start with software. So when I discuss a software, right, in terms of a security right now, it doesn't mean that it's enterprise software only, right? Here, when I say software is a piece of code, right, having 10 lines, or it can be 10 million lines, right? So when I say software here, it can be an API that you are developing, it can be a small module for your IoT devices, right, or it can be a web applications, it can be a back-end jobs that you're running for your data, analytics, anything, right? So let's consider this term as a wide spectrum of software. When I say architecture, see, architecture means it's not infrastructure architect always, right? When you say architect, is like okay, infrastructure architect, right? No, here architecture means infra. That's a hardware part of it or a virtualization part of it, or it can be the design of your software, right? It can be anything. It can also be your, let's say you're using any TDD framework, test design, right, driven framework, you have a design, right? You have a design there, so that also an architect, right? Something in terms of a design. That's what I'm referring here. Shift left. So shift left is a term is being used in terms of the security domain, wherein when you see a DevOps pipeline, right, you start with the code, you build the code, you push it to the repository, you create artifact, right, then you deploy, you merge it with the container, maybe you directly deploy, and then using Terraform script in the cloud, or it can be any DevOps pipeline, Jenkins, there are different tools available, and then push it to the infrastructure. It can be on-prem, it can be your selected servers in the cloud as a virtual machine, it can be PaaS platform, or it can be a serverless platform like Lambda, Cloud Functions, or Azure Functions. Okay, or it can also be low-code platforms, right, wherein you write about flows and you handle this as an automation as well. So it can be everything. But then shift left means earlier, even nowadays as well, there is a shift already happening. But earlier it is like, okay, when you design a software, at the time of you develop application, right, you deploy, and then the security in place, right, after the infrastructure is placed. And then we decide saying that, hey, let's have a firewall in place, a perimeter firewall. Then we think about, hey, saying that, hey, let's have an IPS, IDS, right, as a part of the network security. But then we have to shift it, saying that, okay, can we do a security at the design, not even at the time of development. Let's move further left. Right? that's the purpose of shift left in the architectural diagram. Shift left, right? Move towards the left from the security point of view. Now, when I say vulnerability, right, it is not just a vulnerability in terms of a malware, right? It's not a vulnerability in terms of exposed API keys, right? For a port or a server, vulnerability means is a gap wherein you want to intend something, but a bad actor is going to create a problem for you. Either increase infrastructure cost or downtime in terms of applications like a DDoS attack, or it can be a ransomware, right? Or it can be a hack wherein they are reading the data, not destroying anything, neither encrypting as a ransomware, but they are selling this data in outside world. It can be anything. The vulnerability, when I say, that means a gate, where if you want to intend something, but something else is happening, right? And there is a gate. Now, very good term. Now, I want to make it little. I want to emphasize this word little heavily here in this meetup is SBM. That is software bill of material. Right. That means whenever you design any software or develop any software, please create SBM. There is a tools available like there are SBM creation tools, both open source as well as paid. And then there are software composition analysis, SEA is also available, right? So do that. We miss that part, right? So do that, and then those data is available. I mean, you can consume those output, right? To have your vulnerability assessment as a report. For example, CE vulnerabilities, you can find it out from SBM, right? All the open source tools that you are using, open source library that you are using. So those things can be available after the SBM or SCA to your other report. There are open source libraries, or I would say open source databases available to map those vulnerabilities and give you those findings. There are MITRE attack frameworks. You should read that from the software point of view and match that up, right? So that's SBOM. Again, highlighting that please use SBOM tools to make sure saying that you know what is your software is made up of. Right? The way that we see ingredients in the food container, right? Saying that whether there is any allergic material available or not, right? Which is not good for me. And that's awareness, right? That is what the SPO, right? Yeah, please.
So if I am using some open source code and that code is using some libraries, so do I need to include those libraries?
It will be already automatically included when you run those SBM script tool for your software code. Okay. So, for example, a good question. Then, for example, if you are using Node.js, for example, application, there is an npm library. npm library will create a package.json file. A package.json file will have those open source libraries included because you have to import it. And now that library also uses something else. So now, for example, if you are using one of the npm library for, let's say, AWS SDK, I'm just giving a very general example. Now the older version of AWS SDK also using a library for OpenSSL 1.0, right? Is a connectivity. Now OpenSSL 1.0 is a vulnerable. We all know now. We have to move into 2.0 or 2 plus. Then that AWS SDK library, if we are using older one, the open library, open database is also being updated with that vulnerability for AWS SDK, older version. So we don't need to worry. It will worry in terms of going further down the level, but it is available. If it is not available, do that as well. Yeah.
What is the full form of SBO?
Software bill of material. It's a concept. But then if you search online SBOM tools, you will find out. Even open source Meetup tools are also available. Paid versions are also available from the SBOM point of view.
So, I think most of the enterprises maintain BOM, BOM, SBOM or whatever they
That's
call
fine.
it. So, they say that these are my approved version. If I would like to use any Oracle client or something, so what version is approved for me? I think.
Oh, correct. I'll repeat the question and let me know if I understood correctly or not for all people. The organization maintains the list of software that they are using, which is an application to be allowed for the employees or application allowed within the server to run.
Right. That was my understanding.
No, it's not that. Thanks for clarifying that. Okay. Information security team will prepare and give us as an employee, right, saying that hey, these are the list you should be allowed, or not to us, for us as an awareness, but it is to the help desk team or the IT infrastructure team, saying that when you allocate a laptop or a server, these are the approved software list. Right, so this is just application list approved for your application. This is completely from development point of view. When you design any software, when you develop any software by using any other libraries, maybe developed by other developer or open source developer within outside, you create an SBOM which says that how many modules that you are using in your software. Right? It includes, let's say, call library, SDKs, right, that we use OpenSSL, it can be HTTP, client HTTPS libraries, or let's say beautiful SOAP that we generally use for Python, right, in terms of that XML to HTML conversions and mapping that JSON library. Those libraries will be listed with the version, with the open vulnerabilities, and, just a library list will be available as a part of the XPR.
Just like package JSON where our versions are available.
Package JSON is the primary thing, but in a package.json you can also say I want to use curl 2 plus. Now when you say plus, you don't know which one that you are
Not
using.
exact one. If you are
That SBO will have that exact version, that which one that you are using in your library. But it will have that version wise libraries. You put this output into a open vulnerability database, which is again available. The tools are already using it, and it will give you the very good list of open vulnerabilities that your software is exposed to. Right? That is SBOM. Security. The last term that I have put it here is security. When you say, or when I say security, right, it doesn't mean that stop something. Right? It means allow your application to work properly without any disturbances that you thought of. Right? Disturbance can also be the feature. Right? So I'm just trying to say, saying that how you intend to use your software, it should work that way. Right? And to allow that is a security. Right? So when I say security, generally the security terms saying that okay, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4 modules implemented as a part of the security. You have a SSO authorizations, there is a RBAC module, and there are key rotations, encryptions, and you can add more layers. No deny. But how much security is secure is the big question. Right? So, but when I say secure, I want to make sure saying that security means you are intent. So let's a very simple example that I have faced in my parenting as a life. See, when you see your kid walking in your garden, it's also security. You are watching. You are making sure saying that your kid is safe. So you haven't implemented any security guard, right? You are yourself as a security guard. You know, maybe you may not be able to fight. But you are watching, right? It is safe, you are safe, everything is good. So even adding the visibility to your software, what it is doing is also a security. So I just want to make sure security is my term, is not implementing a security tool. I don't want to say saying that they implement in your API management tool, implement API key. Right? Don't allow any open HTTP authentication. I'm not saying that. Right? I hope I'm clear. Thanks. Now, today's session, the topic, and I have only one slide for that. The other slides are different. So, what is SafeLab? Maybe you can read. I hate reading my own slides. So, you read it, but what I'm trying to repeat here, saying that let's implement or have at least thought process starts at the beginning when you design the feature. So nowadays we talked about ChatGPT. We talked about open source libraries, we talked about even cost optimizations in terms of infrastructure. We have those open libraries, tools are available. See, don't you think so? Designing or developing, sorry, not designing, developing a business feature, most of them, the tools are readily available. Coda is readily available. Your generative language model will even can help you to write your own code, like the way that we see in the first session. Right? Copilot is able to do that, helping you, right, in terms of even business model. Forget about business model or business features. There are language models available. I don't want to name those tools. You can search online, freely available to create your own ransomware by asking 2-3 lines. It will write a ransomware code for you. Right? So developing a business feature is not a great thing. What the great thing is, good thing is securing it, right? Stabilization. Right? That's more critical. Right? That's what I'm trying to highlight here in my today's session, is based on that as well, to make aware, saying that it's there in the right place. Adding a more feature won't give you a product as a business. Right? Telegram is a more feature than WhatsApp. Agree? Yes. But business side, what is value? Right? What more people are using? Trust-wise, everything. Stability. I'm just giving you this, right? So that's what the idea here is, right? I did little bit of exercise, being a kind of, I always try to see, do you remember that saying that even there is an interview question saying that, hey, maybe let's say if you are a spreadsheet developer or automation developer or anything, right? There is a very good interview question saying that, can you explain the Excel sheet to your 7-year kid? So very good, it's a very good way to see whether your concepts are clear. So I always see that, right? So I have tried removing some of the words from this definition and then read it again. Right? Simpler? See, when I say best, subjective. Right? When I say resolve, that means you are confident. Right? Right? When I say earliest, again subjective. How much early? Whether I should start my JW preparations at the time of HKG. How early? Right? So what I'm trying to say is, like, those subjective words I've tried removed, right? Saying that what is shift left approach? Think about it. Concern, right? Make sure you are concerned about your applications while it is getting designed. Great. So this is what I want to present, what my experience is after talking to multiple customers. I give you one example, saying that it's not always technology. It is not always technology, right? Being a cloud security architect, I talk to different customers, maybe not POC for my own product, the company that I work on it. The infrastructure guy, obviously that there is a screen sharing. I'll say, okay, do a CloudFormation template deployment or an Azure deployment, here, click here. The guy there, right, having a root access of your cloud infrastructure account, clicks fast here, there, and then wait, let me see the screen update first, that is point, and let's think whatever you are doing is right or not. Let's understand, clicking that will be okay, right? It's just a tool that you need to do. After deploying CloudFormation template, is refresh multiple times. Click, wait. Like that AWS or Azure is doing its stuff. I already said it will take 10 seconds to deploy, then mine are refreshing it every 2 seconds. That is also vulnerable for your organization. Those guys are problematic for your organization. So that is also security.
So when you say they remove everything which is affecting the security, sometimes boss and client also have to be removed.
Yes. In my previous company, maybe I'll send this recording to him. In my previous company, I asked my owner, or a company's owner or a CEO, that I want to fire you. Let me know how can I. So, and it's a friendly discussion because generally I do have those friendly discussions with different people. Because it will connect human being, but you're right. I mean, having not people like that is also a good security. In my previous organization, I had one DevOps engineer. Real examples, also all examples are real only, but this is my personal one-to-one example. DevOps engineer, I asked him to try something for learning purpose and then application. So I was just telling him, saying, hey, this is what the command, this is the SDK, run this SDK, this is the code, replace the value, maybe the region that you need to replace or a project name you need to replace it. Before I say anything, he just press enter. I'm like writing a command, enter. And then the code executed. Obviously it was like, then I said, wait, slow. Your enter, that one key can damage anything. Right? Don't do that. Yeah, he did not get my point. In the same meeting, he did the second time, third time. I got frustrated because I am very psycho in that way technically, and I have banned him to touch any server for next 1 month. So it's a security resolution from the security point of view. Without even understanding your command, if you are pressing an enter. So I'm just giving you an example. So by having those examples, what I created on my own model, you won't be able to see on anywhere online. I'll publish it and then you will see. But this is what I call as the VAT model. Right? To VAT something. Right? And this is luckily I got this short form. I was not thinking that way. I was just traveling and kind of putting my notes here. So what is these three things? Visibility, evolve, and time. I'll explain the time little differently. But visibility, I hope you got it the way that I discussed, right? Visibility itself is a security.
Yes.
Right? That means make sure saying that you know what your software is doing. Make sure you know what payload that you are processing so that it will not have SQL injection. Very simple thing, right? We know, we try, we think about it. I was talking to one of the team saying that, hey, Satish, we want to implement this IPS rules for the SQL injections. Can you tell me the tool or how do we implement and everything? I said, yeah, no problem. Which database that you are using? The MongoDB. SQL injection is for your SQL database, not for your MongoDB database. I'm just giving you, see, that's a thought process, right? Implementing the tools randomly, saying that it's a security, doesn't mean anything, right? So before that, what you need is visibility. And that's why it is a SB1. Visibility, right? Except, see, remember, I'm sure the people who have handled this compliances thoroughly in terms of not a PhDs, but kind of handles those ISO, any ISO, BSA, BSS, GDPR. There are only two things in that compliance. One, make a checker process. Right? Who is doing it? Checking has to be done by someone else. Now when I asked this question to auditor, because I was facing those earlier, I need another person, that means I need to increase headcount. You know, that's a simple question. Say they no. Compliance are not saying the increase headcount, saying that one person can play multiple role. Right? So the only thing when you are into that mindset of creating it, making it. Right? After that, when you are in a mindset of checker, you are the person. Make sure that you only check. Don't do two things together. That is a mega checker process. Right? And the second thing in the compliance saying that you have everything recorded. Right? As a compliance point of view, control point. So that is what the visibility. Now when I say visibility, the other terms that you are already aware about it, right? People are saying you should have a zero trust architecture from the security point of view. Agree. What do you mean by zero trust? That means whatever you process has to be visible to you. Let's all the employees are having an admin access, but visibility should be there. Which command that they are processing, on which time that they are processing, and that log cannot be accessible by them. That's it. Correct? That's the visibility. Right? Not tampering with the data. So visibility, I have included analysis as well. Oh yeah, analysis as well. Checks as well. Your test data model as well. In your software, you have a testing unit test. That's visibility. See, unit tests as a part of your test is visibility. Making sure saying that checks are in place and you observe the output. That covers the visibility part. Don't do everything together, first of all. It's a very simple model that I thought of, but don't do everything together, right? Slowly. And why? How do you do slowly? Evolve. Right? We don't want to become everything on day 1 or in day 100 or day 1000. Evolve. Right? That's also one of the model I say. In my model it says evolve. So if you are having SBOM created after your software, let's say if you are not creating software bill of material, increase the visibility, create once. That's fine, keep it. Understand, don't do any action. Because maybe you are creating your actions to correct it will create a problem on the uptime of your software. You need to change the software, you need to change the modules, you need to change the functions, you need to change the dependencies. Developer will say, hey, no, I can't. Possible, right? That's okay. But increase the visibility. Then once you have visibility, all the high critical risk, either mitigate, so there's a mitigation as well, right? Or there are multiple types of mitigation, right? Stop it, resolve it, or hand it over to someone. That's why we take insurance, right? so that's a risk mitigation. Correct. So what you do is evolve. Correct. Makes a change, do a next thing again, improve in that directions. That is evolve. Now the time. Why I have included time as one of the parameter. So why I included time as a parameter? See, time, when I say a time means whether your software is immutable or not. It should not be mutable. Means, I'm using some difficult terminologies, maybe easy terminology means, when you design a software, your repository, when you have a build file, maybe a WAR file or exe file or any build packages, has to be directly deployed. After deployment, there should not be any change. I'm saying you can make a change, but don't do that. That means it is immutable. Right? So, time means, let's say something happened to your security, something security happened to your server. Right? We get ill. Right? Doesn't mean that, right? The same way our infrastructure get hacked. It will be. No matter what you do. But then, clean it fast, deploy your fresh package. How fast that you are able to do in your software is also a security. You got my point?
Yes.
That's a very critical thing in terms of the time. That's why I've included all other stuff in a time, response, how quick you are, deployment, CI/CD pipeline, how the RBAC in terms of the authorization, like 90 days rotation, no, 30 days rotation, keys, everything I've included as a time. Now this model is when you start thinking anything in terms of from 10 lines of code to the 10 million lines of code. Do this in a very, I would say, there's a concept called iterative manner. Right? And then you will be automatically improved. Because there is no improved as a definition. Right? I was just reading one book, I forgot the title. It was a very good sentence written there. Saying that, what do you think? We always keep our child saying that, hey, be extraordinary. Be extraordinary. Think about it, if all parents' kids are extraordinary, then the definition itself there is no meaning because every kids are extraordinary. see the inherent problem. Right? So I'm just trying to say, let's not make it, that's why there is no best. That's why whenever I say best practices, what do you mean by best practices? You're getting my point, right? So there is nothing like a best practices. It is always like suitable practices. Whatever suits me, implement and then evolve. Any questions on this? Maybe help me to improve my model as well. Any point? Any feedback is good, bad?
What mean by modeling?
Design. model, like kind of, no? Yeah, so that's the design modeling. So it's a, obviously the model term itself is self-explanatory, but what I mean to say is that you create, let's say in a software what we do is we create our MVPs, POCs, MVPs. So make sure saying that you include this security parameter, like thought process there. Right? It's not the business features. Okay? Great. So this is what my suggestion to developers, right? Or little bit team leaders, or if we say a little bit more as a software architects. That's what our meetup is all about, and for them, this is my idea, saying that a very basic steps that you should do is this: considering the security as a core, right? Don't start. Okay, let me explain the first point. Let's not start randomly using different tool of the security, right? Otherwise, it will become heavy. You will pay more infrastructure cost. Your customer response time, business response time will be delayed because you are having more security checks. Right? Getting into the railway coach is easier, faster than the getting into the boarding the plane, just because of security. And then, see, both are required, but I have to see the time. Right? So don't kind of overboard. Right? So why I say platform-based approach? Because platform-based approach will give you more flexibility the way your software is, the way your business goal is, the way that your capability. Don't ignore that. Okay? So that's a platform base. See, other concerns are very good: centralized visibility, train a team on the security pitches. We train a people saying that, okay, let's learn React. After React, let's learn Vue.js, Node.js. Right, from the front end point of view, API point of view, this library, like even, but how about security? There is no formal training required. Very easy thing. What you can do every month in your team, have a focused discussion of half an hour of your security. That's it. It will evolve automatically. See, first discussion will be very basic. Then it will be good. Then it will be good. People will start every team member will start reading more, come with ideas. Right? So every month if you have this security team, and what good thing that you can do is in the team, search online use cases. The breaches already happened, right? The things are published. Read that, whatever is happening to the different companies, so that will be secure. Right? This is what I want to emphasize, but I don't know how much I should do. This is based on the experience, saying that we use a lot of keys. Keys, create a secrets in a Google service accounts, have a JSON file, put into your source code, or the AWS API keys and secret, AWS service principles, create a secrets, put it into the code. Then we say, no, everything is hard-coded. No, people will say, right, nothing is hard-coded, but it is there in your environment file. You are actually reading the environment file, which is there only, right? Maybe a parent directory or somewhere, but it is there, right? So, see, what I mean to say, your code has to run somewhere, either VM, either container, or a function, serverless function. So, cloud providers are already attaching the role to your resources. Use that. Give a permission, so once the code is running, it will use that permission and complete your job. You don't need to give a very specific API keys in your source code. Right? Great. Don'ts. Very easy thing, but first line is heavy. Right? Don't assume that you are secure. Really, I was like, whenever I ask these consulting questions to the company, saying that, okay, I have a very good firewall, I have like everything is tagged, and then there is no need. I said, no need? I'm not here to sell you anything, but don't say no need. Right? You should say this way, I know this is where it will happen, but I am accepting as a business risk. You getting? That's another module, another point which is there in the compliance. Right? ISO never or any DCIDS never says this, saying that implement this in the checklist. Right? If you are not able to do, if you are using SQL Server 2008, still because of your business requirement, so vulnerable, you have some other packages in place, I am accepting as a business risk and they'll give you a certificate. Getting my point? So I'm just trying to say, assume you are secured is a very wrong direction, because then you will start assuming, you will start forgetting, and what you will do, you will start losing the connects, visibility, because you are not secure.
Or you can always assume you are breached.
Correct. So don't use older version of library, keep upgrading, right? Whenever you feel so, whenever you get a time. It's also a stability questions. This is also kind of a very application centric, but I have seen the people. Today morning I got a message for one of the customer. Hey Satish, can you help? One of the API deleted some my employee data. Now what I do from the security point of view, your API itself deleted your own data. So it happens, right? So I will like, see what I'm trying to say. Why do you give a delete permissions? There are benefits in the design time, right? In your database, when you want to delete something, your critical data, add a delete flag and add one more column saying the deleted and exclude that from the query. Right, and then clean it after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. That's saying that now the data is not required. Very simple thing approach, but this approach you can apply at the time of design, not afterward.
Do not hard delete.
Do not hard delete is what I'm trying to say. Not one level up to that, what we can do, everything you delete, make sure saying that the record is inserted to some your history tables. Right, so that so soft delete is what the first point. The do not hard delete is a soft delete. I am saying that delete hard, but put it into the history table for your whole data. I am just trying to have a recovery point of view, but this is more towards data recovery as a question. I am trying to think from the security point of view. So that, see, even your API is got hacked. Think about it. What will happen? A bad actor can consume that API, right? Then we are screwed up. Our own, it's like this, right? COVID. What is happening? Our own immune system is killing us because it's hyperactive, right? That's what we already faced. So, like, don't do that, right? So, yeah. Last one, blindly believe the payload. Payload in terms of your HTTP payload, your form request, your multi-part form upload or post request payload, JSON files. As a developer, you should always have some validations. Validations are always good. It's not extra work. You are doing the validation in memory rather than firing 3 queries into database, which is your network operations and query operations, and database will be finding from 1,000 records, giving you 1 record for the analysis. We don't worry. But when we do a extra 10 lines of code to have that validation, developer won't do. No, they have to write it. I'm just trying to don't do that, right? Write that checks. Okay? Resources.
Sir, one point I want to discuss. This minimize global
You can call me Satish. Satish. You can call me Satish.
Okay.
Yeah, sir.
Okay, so minimize global scope. So this we did not discuss, but what
sorry,
this shows how attentively I'm listening, sir.
This is for you.
Thank you. Okay, so this I assume it means that if we increase the scope, we also increase the total area of vulnerability, right? Minimize global scopes.
Correct. Actually, I wanted to write, when I tried to type this slide, I wanted to write the variables, but then I thought variable is not the only thing. Right? Let's say, for example, your API keys and scope and permission of that particular client is already stored as a global variable. Why? Because then, as a developer, you can use that variable in multiple functions. And why you are making your things easy? You are getting paid for writing a software, right? Write a good software. So don't do that. Global classes, static variables, static classes, right? Store the value there. No, why you are doing that? No, don't do that, right? So it's like whatever critical things that you're using, use it, destroy it. It should not be there in your memory. That's what my idea from the software and design.
I have a question, like in platform-based approach, right? Can you just give me an example of what do you actually mean by saying platform-based approach?
So, let's say there is a software, you have developed a software which is a front end. Example, this is a front end as an applications, Node.js, React.js, and we created a front end. There is a source code, and now you run a source code tool, open source tool, to get a SBOM, and then you do the vulnerability report. You use a good tool available online. It's independent tool. Now, to get a report out of it, you write some other script and generate a report. Right? Then, let's say for example, to mitigate and to have actions on that plan, you use something else as a tool to make sure saying that it's tracked well. Now, this is not a platform-based approach. Why? Because you are using an independent tool, and now it will take a time to difficult to make sure saying that everything is stitched together. When I say platform-based approach, try with the tool or kind of an option from somewhere. It can be open source or it can be paid version, but having a more features, you use it only one. But as you grow, as you evolve, you have to use the other, right? And you use from the same platform, that is same offering, the data will be across available as a centralized visibility.
Okay, so you were saying like make whatever your whole actions that you want to take, it should be on a same, like you should use one single tool or try to have everything stitched
So not
together.
a tool, I would say try to use from same offerings of a people.
So one vendor you should take everything from one vendor
Correct.
instead of mix and matching with other
Correct.
vendors.
See, that's another reason of having the security risk in the organization, saying that data is being collected from multiple tools and there is no central visibility. So that's why I'm suggesting try to use a platform-based approach.
360-degree solution you should always choose over a single piece.
But like when I say, okay, so I'm just countering your point just to avoid a confusion, saying that when you say 360-degree or 100%, that means we are secure. I'm just giving you, make sure, don't say 100% or 360, what I say, use more coverage, use only one as of now, but have a coverage in place, instead of individually using the different tools as a trial and error. Okay, from the resources point of view, rather than, as I said in my starting of the discussion, rather than giving you a demo of a tool or everything, you are expert, technically good, but I want to give you a direction, how to get that different tools, right? Keep using the same tool for next time, right? Our web crawler are good enough to scroll those new tools and you will get those new tools, right? So what you should do, when you search in the any search engine, right? Type this word with extra space here. Don't forget, right? Here extra space. It's because I want to say this. Okay. So, so when you type a keyword in your any search engines, say software architecture space security space pattern, you will see different models for your software architecture solutions. Use it whatever is best solution, best suited for your current need. Right? Use different another term for your increased knowledge in terms of, right? I have written specifically podcast because Bangalore traffic, better to listen while in the travel, so podcasts are good. Right? Designs, principles, loopholes, tactics, and failures. Right? So use this combination, right, in your web search, and you will see a lot of good information available there. Quickly crawl, see whatever is suitable you, get deep dive. Two things extra that I want to highlight here, so that you will not forget. One, while you search this term, no, try to click on images. Let's say Yahoo search, Google search, instead of all section, search image section. Click on image and you will see a lot of good diagrams, right? Because you know technical people are not good at readings They read the source code, even not much, but yeah. And one more thing that I want to highlight as a fun part, because I did and I found different result. So don't forget this plural, S at the end. So if you don't put, it gives a different result. I tried, I was like kind of fun happening, and that's why I included this arrow. So maybe you try and do that as well. No, don't put that plural part and you will see different result actually. So do that. Okay? Great. Now I'll give you one key.
Security vulnerability, that also we could have added.
So actually this security is there. Sorry. See, security keyword is there.
Vulnerability.
So now when you say security designs and loopholes, it counts the vulnerability. Thanks, but yeah, when you say vulnerability, is actually loopholes, right? But when you say loopholes, it will give you more than the vulnerabilities. Okay, I'll give you. Okay, you want to take a photograph? Thanks. When you take a photograph in your session, that means you like that slide. That's my feedback. For me, it's like okay.
Satish, you feel like a celebrity, right? Because many cameras on up.
Okay. So now, best solution to secure your software. I can't share. Security concern. So if I share, right? What if you are only hacker? You will hack my system, right? Okay. Anyway, so the solution is. If you want to make sure your software application is secure, don't run it off. That's my first sentence, right? Saying that don't assume that you are secure, right? So always be warned. And let me know your questions. I try to give an answer like this, but my answers can be like this. So yeah, I am done. Exactly. Let me know your questions.
Security portal, like suppose there are password fields, right? There comes many variations. Put one uppercase, lowercase, whatever it is. So making this, are we making system rigid or flexible? You have to make it flexible or rigid. Like sir, first name. I got one program first name. Now somebody said the password they are securing, the name also secure. There should not be a special character. So we are making more rigid to the software, not a flexible. What is your point of view?
Okay, it's just because, okay, I'll repeat the question so that everyone is aware. Making the password complexity rules, right, more is actually making software. Yeah. So it was the case earlier, now the trend is going down because of, anyone want to answer? MFA, right? Because of MFA, that is, but yes, no, it's there. I'm just saying trend.
But MFA cost itself, right?
Sorry?
MFA cost itself. I do not want
Everything is cost. Only software architect meetups will give you free leave lunch. Everything is free. No, I agree. I'm just sorry. What I'm trying to say, cost in terms of your CPU, cost in terms of your CPU cycles are also there. Cost in terms of managing the password in database is also there. Agree. But the problem is there are good brute force attacks are there in the place to make sure saying that they will take more time to guess your password. We need to have that password complexity. But see, I'll give you another definition of it. Password. Why it is complex? Because we don't want to remember. See, I'll give you, that's a definition of complexity. Right? Why? When you are a student, if some subject is not difficult for you, subject is not difficult. It's like your brain, your interests are not matching. That's not the difficulty. So I'll give you one example how to remember that password easily. How to create that complex password. See, this thank you slide I'm putting it right away, but I want to tell you this thing because I always tell this to a lot of here, sit down please sir. Yeah. So this is what I want to tell you for everyone, maybe your kids, your family as well. So online, okay, can I type directly here? It's visible?
Yes.
Okay, I'll type it here. Okay, done. So I'll say my password. Okay, this is the day one, right? So like this 7, 8, 9, 10, the password of Wi-Fi, right? So my password can be like this: dev1 @3399, and then what we do, this will become @. I'm just trying to give you, right? How do we do to make sure saying that our brain is remembering the password. There is nothing else, right? But there is another good technique. Why not this way? This is what I started learning from longer period of time. Everybody has their life goal. Everyone, not and create one for a shorter period of time, maybe this year, right? Let's say I want to become good person. Okay, right? So now start.
Long-term goal.
No, next year I will do that. So listen, I want to become a good person.
Subjective.
Yeah, subjective. Good for me, myself, right? So now take a first character, right? Add, let's say whenever it's a G, I want to make it @, right? W or T means it's a 2, and then keep it person. I always capital. Okay. Password.
This will forget in 8 days.
Now you have to remember your goal. Every day you type your password. See, it's a dual benefit. I want to become a good person. Oh yeah, password you don't need to remember. Only those. I
applied exactly the same thing, but this was my girlfriend's.
So it's actually good. You won't be able to share your password with colleagues because it's not a network. You cannot share a password. Great. Thanks for asking that question.
Satish, this is on most of the security concepts that we are discussing are so the requirement for security basically are not business driven, right? They are like NFRs most of the time. So if the team is new and they're not very expert in a lot of security aspects, how do you make sure these NFRs are documented or given to the team so they can actually start thinking from the start?
So start with a team training or team meeting.
Team agreements.
Right. So at least team agreements. So at least you will know, or we, I mean, if you are an owner of a team member or a team member, at least we know where we are as a team. Right. So start with that and automatically comes. Remember, there is one more good thing from the security point of view. Thanks for asking. I wanted to tell this to you, my thought process. My another definition of security is that you have implemented something that other people is not aware. see, whatever you implemented, if you and your team knows, let it be dead security principles, but you know what you implemented, you are secure. This is another way of definition of security. Right? If you want to withdraw 5 lakhs from the bank, right, go with the plastic thili, like black color one. No one will try to follow you, have a very bad clothes. No, don't give that attraction. So I'm just giving you, so it is also security. Right? So implement whatever your team can come up with without even prior security knowledge is also a security. The only thing, everybody should be aligned. So start with the team training. See, otherwise you will be misdirected with lot of gyans, right? Which may not be suitable for you. Right? Maybe you can do a Brahmari pranayama in the morning, but not the different difficult yogas. It may be good for health, but capability is not.
You said like the making and the checking process, like typically, like in any like security check, like whenever you are going for any certifications or any security set, can be done by one individual. But wouldn't that be a conflict of interest?
So that's why they have to give that role to the person who is having that responsibility. When you add it to the KRA, it will not be missing. That's why we have this KRA, OKR as a part of the organization. So put that and it will not be missing. That's psychological problem which is difficult to even do, correct? But the only thing what you can do is awareness, right? When you are aligned and aware, this will automatically be given.
But generally, like for example, if we are the tester would, like if the developer is the tester, I would always like, if there is one edge case, I can always like try to avoid that.
That's what I would say shortcuts that we use.
Yeah.
Right? But it's okay. It's okay to do that. One person can do that role, but have the very focused approach. And for that, there is a concept, good concept that I would like to highlight to the managers. That please read about parallel thinking. Good for managers, and it applies to this very basic as a part of this role. It's called parallel thinking. Maybe you could read. Yeah.
How is the security for the cloud compared to on-premise? The approach, like a customer wants to migrate from on-premise to cloud, he will definitely look for the security things.
Yes.
This is primary reason.
Yes.
So the security.
So, okay, it directly, there is one parameter called attack surface. So how surface, what are the surface area that you are exposed to the outside world is your security risk. It's not your on-prem or a cloud. You can have cloud, one load balancer, all the VMs having no public IP addresses, right? Everything is passing through your load balancer, application load balancer, put in your VMs which are privately accessible. You are as good as secure like your local data center, private data center. So no change, no difference. The only thing, flexibility. See, when you have flexibility, you are a security risk. Sorry, like one way I want to give an answer. Like earlier, we used to have a food at home only, right? Making less secure. Now the fast foods are available quicker, and that's why we are now falling sick faster. So it's like cloud security, right? When your configurations are so easy, right? You tend to make that mistake, and then you are vulnerable. I hope. Yeah. I think we can take
one question. See, let's say
he was asking a question.
Okay,
Sorry.
let it- you continue.
Chocolates, people will
Let it
keep asking questions.
Okay, he has 3 left.
3 left? 4.
4, okay, guys, 4.
Why concept came into picture actually?
I'll give you, sorry, I'm trying to give an answer as a fun way always because it's a great way to learn. So there is something called hugging a server syndrome. so that means if you are able to hug your server, right, it's secure. That's a mentality. Correct. You read, there are articles available like with this keyword. See, when you say on-prem, you feel like, wow, it's there, right? Less entry, you can control over it, right? But no, it's not like that. It's all about your configuration, right? It's all about a configuration. One of the client got compromised on their local. I'll give you a very funny story happened. Most of the workload is in the cloud. On the local, it's just AD, Azure AD in directory, firewall, and one firewall log extractor server. Only 3 things. And then video camera, like surveillance system. Nothing else. Cloud was secure and that got compromised because of firewall not configured properly. I'm just giving you. So it is like.
It's a concept.
See, it's a mindset. It's a mindset. Whether you want to drive with your own car or you want to rent a car. Right? Earlier the problem were there. Oh, what type of driver it is? Whether should I send my, like it is a person who is not good, maybe kids or no. Whether they send, but now this, because of the visibility increases, it's okay. Sure.
Earlier Google also said that we are not using any personal data, but later it was told that everything they are used for their analytics purpose. Later when the case got filed, people came to know that he actually using everything suggestion. He earned more money because of that our search only. But now they are also giving platform, everything they what is the guarantee that they are not going to, they are saying that we are not going to read your data.
So that's okay. I want to answer that face to face rather than this, but it's a data privacy issue, not a security concern. I'm just giving you, right? That's a security concern, not the data privacy concern and not the security concern.
Okay, my question is regarding to left shift, okay?
Shift left,
Shift left, sorry. So, now, let's say we are developing some softwares which is known, let's say e-commerce, that's fine. But my question is like related to some innovative software we are developing, which is not at all done. So for that, how do we have a kind of thought process to have that security which we don't know what we are developing? Let's say maybe one of them example is Chandrayaan or some other defense or something like that. Those kind of innovative things, what's the ideas?
Increase the visibility of your software. Your visibility for your
for the team.
No, your visibility on your software. Saying that hey, what your software is about.
Okay.
Correct. So for example, visibility in terms, if you keep visibility as one keyword in mind and start your journey. Saying that visibility, okay, am I checking my payload? Is it my API? Don't worry whether it is exposed or not. It's a secondary thing. Whether my API is checking the payload that I am sending, let it be from front end only, your own front end, your own other systems, maybe even driven architecture, sending the data there, it's okay. Are you checking once the payload is available to you? Right? What else can happen? Now for that, have the current vulnerabilities or the current use cases happening in the internet and try to learn that. But don't go deeper. I'm just trying to have a visibility and then visibility of that side and just try to increase the visibility. Once you have more visibility, the pattern of your data, logs, pattern of your logs will tell you whether you are getting hacked or not. Because if the pattern is different, if you are getting high temperature, that means you are getting infected with virus. So it's like have that visibility more and then you will be able to automatically secure. No need to implement any extra tools. Right? Once you have visibility, then you know whether you have vitamin B12 deficiency, vitamin D deficiency, whether you need a more sunlight. See, solution will come later on. Have this visibility. That's it. Nothing, no issue.
And second part of it, same thing, for a training. Suppose how do I train that to developers or maybe which
see, forcefully we cannot train anyone, psychologically say. But if you involve with a fun activity, right? It will automatically be there. So now I'm just giving by seeing the Kahoot with the let's say Neeraj Chopra as a question, right? Right. Now next time when I will come, I'll really read about the sports. Nobody has to tell me because I want to perform there, right? Maybe I get an award or not, but I want to have a fun way of implementing regional days. I'm just giving very fun way. Maybe I'm not an HR person, but a fun way having in your company. In your, let's say, like Onam, Diwali, right? When we do a bay decoration, have your team with the cyber security theme. People will learn and implement the theme. Great way to learn.
I have another question. So suppose if you are going leftwise in terms of the security, what happens is, suppose you have a particular package, suppose an NPM package, right, which has an issue, right? Now sometimes I'm just between like two choices that I need to make. So suppose that I have found a patch, right, which I need to implement, right? Now that patch, in order for the maintainer to implement it, will take time. Right now I can create my own branch and I can maintain it, but then sometimes I even forget to like merge it with the master also. So which one would be a better? So what do you suggest in terms of that?
See, it's a way whether your software is 24/7 used, you cannot have a downtime, right? Based on that, you can actually like merge early and do a POC, sorry not POC but dry run and then deploy it, right? For the such a like real time software and access, you need to have a test lab.
No, I'm saying like suppose what happens is, suppose if I've created a new branch, like I've created a new branch.
But then software, okay, like when I say SPOM, put it as a part of your DevOps pipeline, no? See, DevOps will implement a particular branch only.
No. Suppose there is a package that is maintained by somebody else, third party package. Now there is a vulnerability. So I have used it in my system. Now there is a vulnerability that I have figured out. I have found out a patch. I have patched it. I have created a new branch for myself. But in order for the original maintainer to accept that, it takes time. Now I have created a new branch and I am I am pulling it and I am using it. But do you recommend to do that, or do you like say like
See, I'll give you the recommendations from the community point of view. Why you are using that software? Okay, because you want to reduce your time.
Yeah.
So contribute back, no? So for vulnerability that you found, right? Make it give it to them.
that takes time?
I'm just giving you, give it to them. Use your current updated bench. No problem. See, it's all about deployment process, not a security process actually. All your blue-green deployment and no, you want to test and everything. But make sure the third one, my model, the third option was a time. Reduce the, don't delay much. This same thing we do with our health, right? So yeah, we have to do that for our software as well. Yes. I'll use this for me. Okay, sure. Thank you. Thank you for this.
Sir, Indian cricket team has also gained from your security discussion, not lost any wickets so far.
Satish, please.